In this video, we're going to look more focused on tigers, more of the culture and the people, and our rescue of the 7-8 month old puppy that we snagged out of the jungle on the road right in front of us, about to encounter a leopard. So last time we finished with the sloth bear and their cubs and the scratching and how much fun it was to see the cubs and the scratching. We're going to move on to Tigre, the tiger. What can I say? Magnificent is an adjective, zillions of adjectives on these remarkable beasts. Jungle, yes. The game parks in India are federally regulated, cannot drive off the roads. You actually have a pass and permit all arranged ahead of time, of course, to enter and exit the park. You have 3 to 4 hour slots depending upon the park. 6:30 in the morning till 10 or 11 in the morning. Got to be out back at the gate. So if you're looking at this beautiful little kid right, if you're looking at this beautiful little kid right there, and you've got 30 minutes from the gate, and the time's up, you got to say goodbye and go back. One of the limitations. I found it frustrating at times, but you ended up being able to deal with it and just appreciate the beauty and respect the government's tremendous effort of trying to preserve these animals. They have 6, 7, 8 Federal Reserve game parks. I believe 99% of the tigers are in them and protected. Hundreds of thousands of acres. Actually, yeah, 700-800 square miles was not uncommon for India's a big country, folks. 700,000 or 800,000 square miles was not uncommon for these animals to be enclosed in. They have various zones. Your permit gives you 1 zone out of maybe 12, and not all the zones are for tourists. So the tigers have an area that they can go back into and escape and get around. But they're perfectly happy being around people to the extent that they're around people. You saw this kid was laying on the road. Not uncommon. They like the roads. Why? The jungle's tough on their little, I shouldn't say little. I got some pictures of paw prints here coming up. Their feet are not small. But the soft grass, the soft dirt and mud on on these roads, they prefer them, and they'll get on the roads and start walking along. And you're going to see here in a second something really incredible. So here we are driving along in our vehicle. These are completely open-aired vehicles. The driver and the guide are in the front, right-hand driving. The Brits have been here. Diane's in the seat in front of me. I'm in the back seat trying to hold the camera still and they try to keep from falling out. And this type of environment is typical for the jungle. This is the dry season, and you'll notice that in the dry season, it's dry. The sides of the road, the vegetation is relatively sparse. Look at the canopy. These are, I forgot the name of these trees. I'll look them up for you. During the dry season, they lose all their leaves and they go into hibernation, and hibernation's probably they're not right word, but they go into a dormant state, and so you have all this filtered light coming down. So you have a lot more light during the dry season than you would during the wet season. The parks are closed during the wet season. The roads pretty much have to be redone. But as you notice, we're driving along way up here in the front. 50, 70 yards in front of the vehicle, you can see an animal on the road, and you're looking at the butt end of a tiger walking on our road. A butt end of a tiger on his road that we happen to be driving along. And so for the next 10 minutes, we have kind of a game of slow and go. And I'm trying to hold the camera still. He's inching forward. I'm excited about seeing this tiger on the road. I'm wondering if it's going to be the only glimpse I get to see of him if he turns left and goes in the bush, because we can't follow him. One, you can't drive these things in mostly through the jungle. And two, it's illegal to drive through the jungle. You can't get off the roads. But we're going to track this guy a little bit slowly along the road. We've discovered there's another vehicle ahead that has spotted him and is trying to stay ahead of him. So that vehicle is going farther along to keep him on the road, not to scare him off. And he's just kind of lumbering along. Got to clean a flea or a tick or something, or some scratch he's got back there. Just totally unbelievable. So eventually, this day, we spent an hour and 20 minutes, an hour 20 minutes plus with this cat. You'll notice that her rib cage is pretty sunk in. She's pretty hungry, and she's looking for a next meal, and we're all hoping that she gets something to eat pretty soon. So we're going to watch her for the next few minutes here because it's really exciting to see what she's going to do. I'm not going to give you any hints because I'm going to get my picture off of here. To keep from distracting things. So she goes up here. She's going to mark, just like a domestic cat. Not a lot of squatting. She just kind of backs up and squirts a little bit of urine here, a little bit of urine there. They have scent glands in their paws. I took a neat picture that I can't find out of 8,000 images that we took. And one of the other game parks, the 15, 20 feet up in a tree, a branch, not branch, trunk, they would scratch, like your cat scratches up your furniture. Well, he's scratching up a tree limb, a tree trunk, leaving a scent on the trunk. And the higher the scent is, the more impressive it is to the females, and more impressive it is to another male that might be trying to embark in the territory. Here you see our gal moved off to the side of the road and is kind of, got a mark there again, is kind of just perusing the things. Beyond us here, 50, 70 yards beyond us in the background is a stream. Our guide said she's probably interested in an antelope that's going to come down and water and take her lunch, so to speak. That would be exciting, but it'd also be out of our visual plane. In addition, one of the reasons that she's sticking around here, you can kind of see her moving along. I'm going to stop it right there and make two comments. One of the reasons that she's sticking around here is that she has, she's invisible, she's stealth, she's undiscovered. She's undiscovered by the local animals. There are two main species and a dozen other birds that are kind of lookouts for these animals. The spotted deer will have a call. They see one of these tigers or a leopard, and they kind of have a bark, and it sends the whole forest into a frenzy and allows the guides to begin tracking. The same thing for the monkeys. The black-faced langur monkeys will have a call, and as soon as a call is called, the guides will locate the sound of the call and then head off in that direction, hopefully to find a big cat or a predator and the like. So she's comfortable sitting here looking around. I don't want to say we took turns looking at her, but after a while, you would start looking at the environment, looking to see if there's anything that come across her path. She was laying down most of the time, so watching her here chew something was interesting. We're somewhat looking forward to yawn. A yawn usually means that they're kind of bored with what they're doing, or that they're going to get up and move, as opposed to you and I might take a nap. And there's a big yawn, well, a little yawn. Let's see what happens next. There she's up, and then she's going to move. Now, not spoiler alert, don't turn off your TV sets because she's going to come across here a little ways and then walk straight towards us. An unbelievable move. I was afraid she's going to stop behind that bush and I'd be very unhappy after all that time. But she's got to come up here and mark some territory. And then check out our vehicle. Check out our vehicle before she decides, well, this area hasn't brought me anything to eat. I'm going to go find something else. So that was one of our most impressive tiger encounters. The one I was able to capture on video more than anything else. We had another one on the road, which was actually a little bit closer, where some of the other great photos came from. And then we had another one where she went down into the water and got some beautiful pictures of her in a reflection that should be coming up here in a few minutes. So the show doesn't end as you're leaving the tiger. You might come across a kingfisher like that. You might come across more fantastic scenery. You could come across another black-headed ibis, or it's like a spoonbill in the foreground and the two black-headed ibis in the background. If you're near a body of water, these terns were frequenting the area immensely. A leopard sitting on top of the hill. A gentleman with a bunch of cattle fodder that he's collecting for the cows, propped up over his head, wandering through the countryside. More little owls or a leopard perched up on a rock are all entirely great possibilities in this wonderful environment, the jungle that these animals inhabit. Common deer. This is a fruit-eating bat hanging in the top of a tree. Really neat critter that I got a really good picture of by serendipitously here. Another spotted bear here and there. You look at the camouflage of this leopard in the brush. This is actually a preview of coming attractions. This is the leopard that almost ate this little puppy that we rescued. This was where she was hiding in the brush about 10 yards from the road. Serendipitously, we snagged the puppy before it got as far as she was. When you go back to the cities, little towns, most of them have not much pavement, as you can see. Shopping, people parking their bicycles. The entire environment is just totally out of a storybook as far as I was concerned. This was one of the bigger cities. You can see the more traffic and paving and the like. And of course, you can come across another tiger. Very, very colorful birds. This is a roller. Here we are. This this tigress was on the road, went off into the brush 100 yards away. Our guide Sarah, I don't know how he figured it out, but drove all the way around the marsh pond, and literally at about 70 or 80 yards we got this picture. It's still a little bit grainy, but just a beautiful animal with a fortunately beautiful reflection. Just a beautiful, um, beautiful situation. It's one of my favorite pictures from the whole trip here. Spotted deer, male. Deer shed their antlers, antelope don't. I believe that's the correct demarcation. I didn't get that backwards. Oh, the lady spotted deer, tiger heading off into the woods, peacock sitting on a branch this time, more langular monkeys, mom and baby, that a very, very common sight. Wild boar that just had a mud bath. And then this tiger that was actually sitting there watching the wild boar came down off the hillside in the background and down into the water to get a drink. And I mean, wildlife photography is so interesting, so challenging, so exciting. A lot of adrenaline flowing when these animals are around. I mean, you've come hundreds of thousands, well, not hundreds of thousands, you've come thousands of miles, a day and a half to 2 days worth of travel to get to a place like this. And, you know, you're out for hours for maybe 5 or 10 minutes worth of, maybe sometimes 20 seconds worth of viewing. I'm torn between staring at them with my binoculars and trying to point a camera at them and capture some images to take home. I kind of do a mix of both, but when I have the camera in my hand, all too often I tend to try to put the animal in the center and capture what you can. And you know, when you're there for seconds, that's the first image you get. But if they're going to be walking along the shore a little bit longer, you can try to focus a little bit and try to capture some images that might be worthy of putting on the wall or something like that. We'll try to decorate the house with a handful of our favorite images after a trip like this. But this gal sitting by the water, in the water, licking her lips after getting a nice cool drink. And now she's going to head off to another spot. I like this picture. This picture was actually taken with a, I had to switch lenses to the short lens. This is an 18 to 70 millimeter lens, probably shot at 50 millimeters. She's within 10 yards of the truck. I was standing on the back seat. The guide wasn't too particularly happy with me standing on the back seat, but he wasn't telling me to get down, but he was holding my legs so I didn't fall out. So I felt pretty good about that. And I'm pretty much standing there looking straight down at this guy. And he's kind of looking straight up at us. Not very threatening, but still right there. Swallow that when we left the tiger, you drive along, and on this stump on the side of the road is this pretty little swallow. These are common kingfishers, which are actually not common, relatively rare. And I got both of these kids sitting right on this stick, and they'd be flying around, splashing in the water, catching fish, just really great. Another spotted deer. Reflections in the ponds. Oh, these are the first game park. I'm gonna butcher the name of that too. Bahagravana. No, don't quote me on that. These are swamp deer, and the tiger restricted game park was actually created to protect these deer. Was actually created that protect these deer. These are highly endangered. Um, this is a flock that they are trying to protect. There's actually a fenced area within inside the park that they're trying to keep them in so they don't so they're protected and the like. I understand their population is slowly rising, and that's a successful program. This was taken at over 100 yards. We didn't actually get very close to them very frequently. We saw two of them I don't want to say by accident. Everything you see is by accident, by God's mercy, but that were nowhere near the herd. I think I have a picture of them somewhere, but I don't know where that showed up. But they're pretty impressive. I mean, they're not as big as those other things, but they're pretty impressive. I like them a lot. Oh, this is a roller. I think don't have rollers in this country. He's captured a snake, and the snake was wiggling around when we first saw him, and was one of those things where the guide is saying, "Time, time, time. We got to get back to." We got to get back to the gate, and we're saying we want to watch this guy eat the bird, eat the snake, eat the bird eat the snake, and so I don't have any video of this, but he was sitting there thwacking the snake on the stump, and it's finally got limp, and he not with his paw, not with anything, just whatever he does with his magic beak, angled it up, got it down head first, and just started swallowing it. I think that was the last view that we got of him right here before we had to take off. View actually from one of the camps that we were staying at. Jackals. We got to see a den of jackals with some babies. Forgot about the jackals. Good thing I've got them in the slide deck here. Very, 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 very cute, don't you think? Just like little puppies. And they were running around, picking up stuff, chewing on things, tugging, just acting like little puppies. Pretty crazy. I've got some video to show you with these jackals, adults, a different occasion, different game park and the like, where they were actually running alongside of the vehicle. A spotted deer had sent off an alarm call, and the guides and everybody were looking for a big animal, and all of a sudden these 2 or 3 jackals are running alongside the truck and eventually crossed in front of our truck. Was very interesting to see the adults in action, much more wary, much more aloof than these cubs. These cubs are pretty much parked. There's a series of 2 or 3 den holes where they could dive in and take cover. We didn't see any adults around the pups, but I'm certain that they were relatively well protected from predators by their ability to hide in the dens. Here's a nice pastoral scene, but on the far bank is a crocodile. More langur monkeys. This is another roller. Maybe I don't think it's the same roller, same species of roller as the one that was snorking down the snake. Buffalo, another kingfisher. Another view of this one tiger. Back in the city, I think this is Jaipur. I can't remember for sure. This is a man-made lake of which the entire lake is surrounded by palaces in the lake, some dating back into the 15th century. We're going to tour one here shortly. The white structure and that you can see is actually a castle on an island. Only access is by boat. The royal family still owns most of these facilities. This one's leased out, rented out, leased out to a private group. That's a hotel. Only access is by water taxi. Didn't go to the hotel, but this is the palaces around. another sloth bear, another leopard. We were actually we actually saw more leopards than tigers. We were told the leopards were more rare than the tigers, but serendipitously, we were blessed with a lot of shots like this. This leopard was one of the best, closest that we saw, and it's the one that um, was walking away from down the road and around the road and away from the road when when we rescued the puppy. So the story on this little puppy is we're driving along, um, and we encountered this little dog. I mean, there's dogs kind of everywhere on the streets up there, but now we're 5 kilometers from anything, even 5 kilometers from the nearest temple and the like. Nothing's around, and this little dog's trotting ahead of the vehicle. And we slow down, and he slows down. We slow down a little bit more, and he slows down, and we stop. And he comes back to the vehicle. Um, um, Guide reaches down, picks him up, puts him in the footwell of the car. Do I have a picture of that? There's a close-up of the little kid right before we released him. There he is, down in the footwell of the vehicle. So we planted him down there, and lo and behold, we look up before the driver starts him. Look, leopard on the road. Just inside the brush off the road was that leopard that we were just looking at. So an amazing rescue type story. So here we have the puppy. We got him back to civilization, to one of the ranger areas where there was water. Gave him some water. And then we'd eventually take him back into town and rehome him. So as the leopard goes off to to leopard land here, you encounter more antelope, more wildlife, quail on the side of the road, the gentle monkeys. These are different monkeys than you've seen before. Macaques. These are rhesus macaques. Common more in the cities, kind of everywhere in the cities. The langurs tend to stay away from the cities, so out here in the jungle, they're certainly less common. And they actually initiated some alarm calls from the langurs. Apparently, the langur monkeys don't like these guys, so we ended up tracking a couple of these things down, thinking they were maybe big cats or the like. Going through the cities, more shopping, tiger here and there. Spotted deer. Oh, people ask us how the weather was. The weather was generally fantastic, except for one day. One day. One day we're in this tented facility, and this big storm broke out about 3 a.m. I hadn't been camping in a long time, and I forgot how loud rain is on a tent. So I'd been up since 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're supposed to go out into the park at 6:30 and be up at 5, and we're supposed to get on a wake-up call, and the wake-up call came and said, hey, we don't think the park's going to be open. Go back to sleep for a while. So we got a call later. We went out to the park. We started out. It had cleared by then, kind of. So we started out at 6:30, and it was kind of looked like it was going to clear, and a little bit of drizzle, and kind of looked like it was going to clear. Didn't even have the rain gear on. And then all of a sudden, about 9 o'clock in the morning, it started raining, and it rained, and it rained. And as you can see, the vehicle that we're in doesn't have a lot of rain protection. So they give you these ponchos, and it rained from real hard, real solid, from about 9 until 12. And we were pretty wet. We stopped a couple times at lunch, we stopped at like 12:31, 12 for lunch or something, and it started drying out. And after lunch, you can still see we got a little bit of our ponchos on, but the sun's starting to come out. And we took this picture after we got the cameras out of the rain bags, and we're going to start taking the ponchos off. So a fond memory of a wet day. I can't imagine. I just can't imagine what this place would be like really during monsoon. Just total unimaginable. And that night when we got back to camp, we were treated by a special little dinner that they had arranged for us with a bonfire for just the two of us and our guide. So we finally got warm. But the nights there went down into the 60s, and the days were supposed to be up in the mid 80s. It didn't get anywhere near the 80 that day that it rained. And the rains were very unseasonal there. It was bad for the crops at that time and everything else. So in this picture, what do you see? You see this temple on the side of the hill, nothing else around it. It's not in the middle of a city. The town's about a kilometer away. And that was very typical of the areas out in the countryside. Here we're out in the Leopard land. In the next view, you're going to see kind of what we're looking at. But you kind of see the people are kind of neutral here. You got somebody looking at his cell phone, all the cameras poised, ready to do something. No action happening. Because what's happening is this hillside, and there is a leopard. There was a leopard. Everybody knew there was a leopard. It was kind of somewhere in the middle behind a rock. And that's kind of what game viewing was like. There's a leopard over in this area. We're going to go driving over this area. We're going to get to this area. We got to the area, and it's time to wait for the next activity. Another temple on the side of the hill. This was our vehicle. Of course, you saw our vehicle. That was actually a different vehicle in a different game park, but they're all very similar, very open, very easy to get photos from, easy to get in and out of, easy to get soaked if it's rained. Downtown, I think this is Utah. The area is known for very high quality, hand-done textiles. This is called block printing. Every ounce of every drop of dye on this piece of fabric is applied by hand. You kind of see that little hand block. He's doing the edges right now. These things aren't huge printing press type things. They're little things that you can hold in your hand. Each one of those little flower prints is one of these little dye things. He doesn't go over like this. He doesn't go over like this, and he goes over like this. Actually, he goes over, and he hits it with his hand. He sets it down, hits it with his hand. And the precision is amazing. I mean, you saw that picture. The precision is absolutely amazing. He did a little sample demonstration for us of this elephant. And this elephant has 4 colors in it. I counted them. And they're all done with a dye put down, just like I said, put it down, hit it, put it down, hit it. On top of each other, on top of it, on top of it. Do you see one smear on that? Do you see anything? It's amazing how they can do that. Just totally amazing. The other thing, there he is. We got to take that home for a souvenir. So the other thing they do with these hand-tied, hand-knotted carpets, and the amount of work that goes into them is absolutely amazing. The dyes are all for both the fabrics and the carpets and everything else. The dyes are all natural, organic dyes. Apparently, they absolutely last forever. You can wash them. You can do them. He guaranteed. We didn't buy any. We bought some shirts and blouses and things that were block woven, but nothing big that we couldn't take home. Although they ship everywhere apparently. But my point is, he said the dogs can. But true or not, he said the dogs can pee on them. You wash on them. They're totally indestructible. They looked like they were really well made, but I didn't want to trust them with my Bernese Mountain Dogs. So downtown shopping areas. This place. This is a 15th century, 16th century palace of of one of the kings restored. It's actually the hotel that we stayed in. The entrance here is to the north, where the king and the queen and the royalty would enter. This obviously taken at night. And around to the side, over the right, is where we saw before. And you got the drive-up entrance for the carriages and for the cars on the right. Just a kind of, this is the inside during the day, central courtyard, the garden, the things on like 20, 30 acres of garden that just totally unbelievable. This is a step well. You'll notice the steps. This is a huge vat of water that goes down stories, dating back to the 15 something or others, that they would have. That was their water supply. Street dogs. Try to feed them as much as you can. This is a great picture. You'll never, if you look at this closely, you might guess, but you'd have to have some background. These are perfectly symmetrical patties, about this big, about 6, 8 inches in diameter. There, it's cow dung, it's cow poop, and they're all, it's being transported. Primary fuel source for burning, heating and cooking in their homes during the winter or when they need the fuel. Totally recycled from the cows. Common to find in peacock everywhere. This is a magpie family. Very common. They're very friendly. Flew down and sit on the truck while we were having a snack in the afternoon. This is the entrance to one of the game parks. Not at all uncommon to be in traffic, in crowded streets, narrow streets, lots of people. Creeping along. This fort, you can see how high it is. Lots of steps to get to it. I fortunately climbed up to it. A huge area on the top, like 30, 40 acres of flat area. This fortress was never conquered by force. It has a long, drawn-out story of how treachery allowed the monarch and his family to be destroyed. But it was never captured by force, and you can see exactly why. It's on the top of a hill. Can't even see it coming up the valley. Very impressive. This is one of the gates coming into the Tiger Park. This is one of the gates, part of the fortress, which is actually the entrance to Area 3, where we saw the tigers and the like. Oh, tiger footprints. You can see this is kind of backed out a little bit. You can see it in the middle of the tire tracks on the road. And then kind of a close-up right here. In the middle of nowhere, this guy in the game park, this guy comes rolling around on this motorcycle, gets off, and checks this device on this post. This is a camera trap. It's actually a camera with a motion detector and a strobe flash to record anything that goes by it day or night. And so they record animal movements, and they record illegal truck traffic or vehicle traffic. All the vehicles that are in there are numbered, and they know what vehicle is supposed to be in what area at what time. So if they catch you in the wrong place at the wrong time, big fines, very severe penalties, and the like. And we're back to our dog. Okay, this vehicle, I don't know if I've got a good picture of it or not. They had a name for this, which I couldn't remember or pronounce, so it doesn't matter. This vehicle is made out of spare parts. You'll notice it doesn't have a license plate. They're totally illegal, but they're everywhere. The government ignores them. Basically, they take broken vehicles, bicycle parts, and put them together and make a truck. Better picture of it kind of right here. You can see it. It's got a kind of a center steering wheel, kind of like a golf cart. but it's totally made up of spare parts. Here's the different castle, but here's the moat. Doesn't look that impressive right now, but it's about 15 feet deep or more, maybe 20, and it would be full of not only water but crocodiles. Entrance. Oh, here's that other group of deer that I was telling you about, the rare deer. Um, Wild boar, more wild boar. Ah, shirka. This is a bird of prey, a most common bird of prey, sitting there on one. It's an accipiter, um, and he's sitting there on 1 foot, just kind of posing for us. Pretty good light. Most of the time, they're really high and backlit. Oh, then another little fox. Excuse me, jackal. Baby deer and mom. Another owl in the tree. Another langur monkey with their babies. Spotted deer. Another bird. Elephants. The elephants in India are in trouble. I hate to report that. Um, they have require huge territories. In Africa, they got it figured out because they have the migrations and everything, and they have a lot of land dedicated to the entire wildlife migratory system. But the elephant population's in trouble in India. Right now, I think there's 6 pockets of elephants, the most of which are in the south. We were in the center in the west. These elephants are actually owned by the Forest Service. The Forest Service uses them to basically pachydermal 4x4s. They use them to patrol the parks. I don't know if I got a picture of that. I'm not sure I want to use one. We visited an elephant rescue, which is where these photos are taken. The elephants are, at least in India, not only are in trouble from a standpoint of numbers in the wild going into the wrong direction, but they're very much abused. Battle cry of mine from now henceforward. I don't care where you're at, what country you're in, what city you're in, whatever. Refuse to ride an elephant. Elephant rides, no. Dr. B says no elephant rides ever, period. Amen. The procedure to get to be trained or tamed as an elephant to be ridden is horrible. That's the short version. I don't want to go into the long version, but they have some 20, 30 elephants that they've been able to rescue from horrible situations. All of them have severe nutritional problems. All of them have severe arthritic problems starting at age 15 to 16 years of age. These animals live to 65 years of age. How would you like to have crippling arthritis for the last 50 years of your life? Those of you that aren't 50 yet, think about that. You couldn't move, you couldn't take a walk, couldn't do anything without severe pain. So refuse to ride an elephant. Very well cared for in these facilities. 20 some odd behaviors that they train them to do through reinforcement so that they can be bathed, cleaned, taken care of. They have a full-time veterinarian on staff to take care of them, and a veterinary hospital on site to take care of them. And I got to meet the veterinarian for both them and the sloth bear. Outstanding individuals, very dedicated to keeping these kids healthy. So refuse to ride elephants. Refuse to ride elephants. More wildlife, 2 species of vultures and a crow. The only snake we saw was eaten by that roller, but they have lots of snakes apparently, most of which are not poisonous. The turtles, the soft-shell water tortoise was very common along the streams. The owls were everywhere. We love sloth bears. Love sloth bears. So the sloth bear was one of my favorites. The tigers have to be at the top of the list. the national animal signature card for India, the national bird of India, the peacock, and of course the seventh, one of the seven wonders of the world, the Taj Mahal. Any one of those was well worth the trip. So it's been my blessing to be able to share this trip with you. It was a tremendous time for us. Remember to other videos and shorts that you can look at to highlight the trip. If you haven't seen them, take a look at those. If you like the video and have benefited from it, please like it, subscribe so that others can benefit from watching this channel as well. Thanks for joining me here, and I can't wait until I see you all in the next video.